arm, as a running back is not a big deal because I can bench 225 10 times. So, that's always key. And numbers, obviously having 3 sports athletes, at a smaller school like Van Horn, you got to share those guys and talk a little bit about how you work with your basketball coach, your track coaches, baseball coaches, how you guys share those guys for the off season and in season stuff.
We do a good job. Our athletic department, our athletic staff, our AD does a great job of creating cohesion between our sports. When I took the job, he was big on being able to be a partner with sports, because there are some situations, some schools where, the basketball program and those kids fight each other and for kids and things like that. And it's just not a good situation, especially nowadays. I mean, every college coach is looking for a multi-sport athlete. So it's important that those kids get those different disciplines and those different techniques, because something you do on the basketball court could help you on the football field. So we try to do our best to make sure that our kids go out and try different sports. Now, of course, you're going to have those kids. Skyvers is a kid that we talk about he's a football guy. Like, he eats, breathes football. So, that's what he does. But my biggest thing, I think the thing that I've tried to do the most is to get our kids to run track. And not a knock on any other sports, but, as a football coach, the game of football is changing. It's not necessarily about slamming downhill and running ISO. Like, now I kind of use the phrase, it's basketball on grass. And so the more athletic your kids are, the better it is for your football program. So I coach track. I'm an assistant coach for track. So I try to, after I'm done in the weight room and it's time for me to go to track, I try to get as many kids as possible to go and run track. Just to, if anything else, it just increases your speed and it helps you work on your running form. So I think it's really important, and I do my best as a football coach because I have the majority of male athletes in my program. So I try to make sure I do a good job of farming those guys out and tell them, go try it. Even if you've never played it, go try it, because you never know what you might stick at. I mean, Jason, I keep talking about him because he's one of our best athletes, but he ran track last year. He did some open running, 200, things like that. Well, this year he got pretty big in the off season. So, they were like, why don't you come out and throw a shot? And so the first time he goes out, he's throwing 40 in the shot. So, I mean, it's not a huge number, but for us and kind of where we going and progressing in our program, I mean, he was a kid that, won some meets for us this year. So, I mean, it's just being able to do different things. It benefits every sport. So we try to work and we try to do our best as an athletic department and athletic staff to make sure that kids are able to do that.
That's one thing we've seen across the board at schools that have really good athletic foundations as they do that practice. All the coaches kind of work together and help each other out in the different sports, because it does make it makes them better at whatever. Like you said, throwing a shot can make him better at something else he's doing on the field, or get stronger or whatever. So, and speed, like you talked about speed, football has changed so much to where speed and spreading out and all that stuff, it's a huge part of the game now. Like you said, it's not just all I form anymore. So it's really cool to hear that Van Horn's doing that.
Yeah, the most successful athletic programs I've been around, share their athletes like that. They don't, I've been in places where, basketball and football coaches kind of clash on, no, I need this guy, no, I need the, and your most successful programs typically don't have that.
Right.
So, and we encourage at Shawnee Mission East, we encourage all of our guys to go out and play multiple sports, do multiple things. There's not very many kids in the country, or especially in the Kansas City area where we are, that are going to come in and be just a football guy for 4 years, right, or just a track guy, or just a basketball guy. I mean, you're going to have maybe 5 kids in the whole metro area that applies to on a year in, year out basis. But most of our kids need to do those other things, especially now the more experience I get. I don't want to say older, but the more experience I get, the more I learn how beneficial track is for all those guys. Just those quick twitch muscles and getting them to work those on a daily basis that you don't always get to do during a football practice, right, because you're working so much other technique stuff. And just, getting those kids out there every day and running the 100, 200, throwing shot, disc, whatever it may be, running a relay, it just helps your not only that athlete, but your overall program. So, I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing that over there also. Talk a little bit about, let's transition into the Greater Kansas City game. talk about that. It's on June 13th at out in Olathe at the District Activities Complex out there. Talk a little bit about the selection process for how you got to be the head coach. And I mean, I kind of know how it works, but explain to the listeners.
I don't have the behind the doors information. I being a head coach, you meet people and you're around people, so you know people. And so I was going down to our Missouri coaches convention that we have down in Tantera, and I had a couple coaches come up to me and they kind of said, that rumor was I was being nominated to be the head coach. So I don't know how the selection process went about. Obviously, it's a great honor. I'm really proud to be representing Missouri, but I'm not sure how it went about. But I ended up getting a call that I was going to be the head coach. So something I elected to do. I was proud to do, like I said. So I mean, it's a huge deal for me, a huge honor. So. Getting the kids together is a little bit of a challenge. It's probably one of the least fun things in the process is calling a bunch of high school kids and trying to get them to commit to something that's 3 or 4 months down the road. But once you get that stuff out of the way, I'm really excited. I look forward to practices and being around those kids. I actually was an assistant probably 3 years ago, so I'm a little bit familiar with the process and I know what it looks like. And 3 years ago when I did, it was a great time. I mean, you met some kids that I still talk to. It's good sometimes to see those kids that you may have played against and get them to be on your side. So I enjoyed it a lot when I was an assistant. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity this year.
Yeah. So did you get to select your assistant coaches for that? Where did you kind of get a list of guys who were interested? How did that process work for you?
It's just I just reach out. Like I said, I've been coaching a while in Kansas City, so I mean I have a pretty good base or a pretty good pool of guys to pull from. So I just call guys that I knew, call guys that I respected in the coaching realm. So I call guys and just ask them, hey, I'm the head coach. Are you interested in being an offensive coordinator? You're interested in being an assistant, things like that. So the coaching process was probably easier than I thought it was going to be, at least selecting people. There was a couple people that had conflicts that I didn't get to get. So for the most part, guys were excited to do it. So it's not too hard getting those guys on board.
Yeah, and I know for the kids, we've talked about this, off the show, but it's tough to get those guys because your players that are going to big time colleges leave kind of toward the end of June, middle of June, end of June, at the latest early July. And with the game being June 13th, the last thing a Division I school wants to do really is let that kid play and risk a possible injury for what they consider a meaningless game.
Sure.
So were there some kids that you encountered that were contacted by you or another coach and just said, I'm not interested, or I can't make it, or?
I won't confirm whether that happened or not, but there were some kids who, I have to reporting days, conflict with that, things like that. But I mean, for the most part, we got a good group of kids. But there were some kids that did bow out on us that we weren't able to get, which, I mean, I understand. If it's your choice, if you don't want to risk it, I totally understand. So there's no hard feelings or anything. But I mean, there were a few kids that we called and they were like, they couldn't do it for various reasons.
Yeah. And I mean, that's going to happen. And when you have an all-star game there in kind of the middle of June, because and their body is not used to the beating it takes during a football. It's not like when we're doing playoffs in November where they've been doing this and putting their body through it for 4 months.
Right. So they're kind of in the rhythm, yeah.
And so really to kind of come in cold and practice for about 10 days and 2 weeks and then play a game. It is a lot of fun and it's a great honor for those kids to be selected. But I mean, I get it. Some of your schools don't want them, and sometimes the kid just doesn't want to put in the work after being off all those months.
Right, and trying to come back into it.
Yeah. But that should be a fun game. Again, that's June 13th out at the Olathe District Activities Complex, and it'll be a good game. Missouri versus Kansas. Some of the best players from your schools in Missouri, some of your best players from your schools in Kansas. Kansas did get the win last year for the first time in a while.
Not this year.
So,
not this year.
I just got to throw it out there.
That's right.
That, everybody kind of says Missouri has better athletes than Kansas on that side, but
They do.
We'll see.
I'm not sure who everybody is, but I'll ride with it.
They do. Everybody's me. They do.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that a lot coaching on both sides of the state line.
No bulletin board material for me. Like.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we probably got kids from Kansas that listen to the show. Just kidding. Everybody's the same.
No, none of our kids at Shawnee Mission East are going to make it this year. We had 2 kids get contacted, but one of them's coming off an injury, had surgery in January, so he's not going to be cleared. And one of them kind of has a problem with his report date. It's just too close to that. So, unfortunately, those guys are going to be out there. But I'll still, I'll probably go to the game myself and watch. And it's always fun. I've went the last few years and just watched. And, it's fun to watch those kids compete one more time, kind of playing for their side of the state line, a little bit of a rivalry.
A little pride online, yeah.
Yeah. It's it's definitely not. I felt like it was bigger when Missouri and Kansas still played in football, basketball before Missouri went to the SEC.
Yeah,
but
makes sense.
But it's still a lot of fun, and you get out there, and I mean I know you're coaching it, and a couple other guys I know are coaching for your Missouri team. I know a couple guys on the Kansas side since that's where I'm at now. So I'll be out there and supporting you guys, but I'll probably be cheering for Kansas.
I was going to say, make sure you sit on the right side.
Yeah.
That answers that question for me.
Yeah, that's what I got to do, man.
Well, I know, yeah.
That's where I coach.
Live there. Yeah, I hear you.
So that's an exciting time. NBA playoffs are going on right now. Have you been following those very, very closely?
I have. I am an NBA playoff thing.
Wait, Coach Harris, I forget. LeBron guy or no?
I am not a LeBron guy.
I was going to say, the cool thing was today, we got NBA playoffs going on right now. And who did they talk about all day today? Los Angeles Lakers.
The Lakers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you know who the best team is. Well, they're not in the playoffs
they're
next year.
obviously not the
Next
best
year.
team.
Kyrie's coming. AD's coming. LeBron get that ring in the West. Anyways, okay, sorry. All right, now let's talk about the teams that are still playing. So tonight is Warriors, Blazers.
Warriors are probably going to close it out.
Warriors are favored 2.5. Check the line. I'm not betting on the game. Gary, are you betting on the game?
No, I'm not. I'm not betting on the game tonight.
Warriors been a little bit too hard to predict, but
They have been.
I'd say Warriors probably end up with the sweep unless they do that thing they do where they take the night off, because sometimes they do that.
I mean, they've taken the first half off the last 2 games.
I was going to say, they might take 3 quarters off and still win tonight.
Yeah, all of a sudden I saw one game, Steph had 0, and then the second half 33.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, we're relaxed, we're taking it easy. All of a sudden it's like, I feel like winning. I think I'm going to do it. Kevin Durant's on the sidelines, so what?
Just sitting
so
and watching.
what? Let's just go. Who is your prediction to win the NBA Finals?
I'm a Warriors fan, so...
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, I like Steph Curry. I've liked him ever since he was at Davidson. Let me throw that out there before people think I'm jumping on the bandwagon. But, no, I'm a Warriors fan. I think kind of the debate, hot topic right now is, are they better without KD? I don't think they're a better team, but I think they play better basketball without Kevin Durant. And I think it's going to be tough for somebody to beat them 4 times.
Yeah, I would say... So you mean better chemistry?
Yeah, I think they play better basketball. It reminds me of the Spurs team, I think, that beat LeBron. And everybody's like, oh, my goodness, it's the best basketball I've ever seen. Like, this is the same, but just with better athletes and better shooters. That's what I compare it to.
Yeah, really good fundamentals. I think Steve Kerr does a really good job managing all the egos.
Yep.
That's really what he's got to do, right? He's like the Phil Jackson.
Yeah, and he's got
managed.
yeah,
super unselfish. Pass the ball all over the court. They get KD back. If there's a game 5, I think he's coming back. And then I think Boogie actually can come back for the finals.
I heard that he's on his way back too.
So defensively, the Warriors defensively, what they end up doing probably is, so offensively with Boogie in, they're worse. They're worse. Number Fire came out and said they're a worse team offensively, but defensively they're much better with Boogie. So what happens is Warriors end up getting like a lead. You throw Boogie in, all of a sudden no one's who's coming in the paint, right? And then you got KD and all those guys. Draymond, no one really talks about Draymond. So I like that pick. My Uncle Jim says Bucks all day.
Yeah, he told us all weekend. He came up this weekend. He was on the Bucks. So who do you think is going to come out of the East?
I think it'll be the Bucks. I mean, I think you got a 2-0 lead, and I know they lost last night. It's 2-1 now, but I just think it's hard to come back. We'll see. I just don't know if Kawhi and Toronto has enough to overcome. Giannis is pretty good. I think Giannis is pretty good. So I think I'm picking the Bucks. They're up now, so I'm just taking an easy pick, and I think they're going to finish it.
Yeah. As far as best player in the East, what do you say? We were talking about this last night. He likes Kawhi, which I love.